All right, let's talk about Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, who, I thought had a really rough first 2 weeks of the season, and since then I think has played a lot better. I wouldn't say this was one of his best games on the year, but it's another one where it's like he's doing enough to not screw things up, and then the team is able to, win around him. I feel like it's a big part of his game, which is like, listen, that's not so easy to do sometimes. And sometimes it's stuff like this, where the way this play works, this is a lot of what you want to see from Kenny Pickett and what you want to see from veteran quarterbacks, let alone young quarterbacks, where it's going to be a 3rd down and 3 situation. And you see that, a lot of Packers players looking like they could be rushing the passer. So whether they're rushing the passer or not, there's a couple things we know. If you're Kenny Pickett, you can tell before the ball is even snapped. For one, look at the safety who is on this play. He is shading over towards the bottom of the screen, which is especially notable given that Pickett is at the hash marks towards the top of the screen. So because of that, okay, well, what does that mean? That receiver is running a go route, and with the safety being a little bit further away, it's a one-on-one matchup. There's not going to be someone else who can come over and make a play. You have a one-on-one matchup down the field. It's a 3rd and 3, and you're just outside field goal range. So you really want to get the first down here. But at the same time, it's one of those things where if it's just as high percentage of a play to, win 30 yards down the field as it is to win 3 yards down the field, we'll throw the ball 30 yards down the field. Might as well, right? However, a lot of young quarterbacks don't always realize this, and maybe they can hesitate. Well, let's see how Kenny Pickett does. And again, I know people are going to make jokes about him being, 74 or whatever, because obviously he came out of college late. He's 25. He's a young quarterback. Watch as Kenny Pickett takes the snap. He's going to look down the field, and also worth noting, they did drop back in the coverage, but it doesn't matter. It's the same if whether it was man or zone in terms of this situation, which is also part of why it's a smart decision for Pickett. You don't have to make a post-snap read. You look over, there is a window here. I mean, this is definitely the correct decision. This decision is clearly the right one. Now, there's the other side of things, which is you have to make the throw as well. And Kenny Pickett's throw is too far. Now, there was a pass interference on this play. The receiver was held down a little bit, and it's Deontay Johnson. That's the receiver who's running that route. He was held down a little bit. I still think the throw was a bit too far, even including that. I do. I don't think the interference was that bad, and I think you could argue shouldn't have even been called. But it's a jersey tug; those get called. So the throw itself, I wasn't crazy about. Although the decision, I was crazy about, and that's kind of what Kenny Pickett does: is he puts the ball in the correct area. Let's go over here. This was, I'm assuming, was his one turnover-worthy play of the game here. He got credited for one for PFF. Also, one thing that's worth noting, I think, for Pickett is, with the exception of Week 1 and Week 2, where he had 2 turnover-worthy plays in each of those games, he has not had more than 1 turnover-worthy play in a game this season. In fact, in these 7 other games that he played in, and one of those was not getting a ton of snaps, but still in those 7 games, he's only had 3 total turnover-worthy plays in those games. So he's averaging under a turnover-worthy play every 2 games at this point. I mean, that's really good job protecting the football. Now, again, those first 2 weeks are going to kind of skew the stats a little bit, but that's really good. He did have one here, though, like I said, so it's a 2nd down and 1 situation. Pickett is going to take the snap. He runs a play action, rolls out towards the top of the screen. Deontay Johnson's the guy he's going to try and hit, and I got to be honest, I've slowed this frame down a lot. It looks like Johnson eventually comes out of nowhere watching this. I believe he's behind the defensive player who I've circled right there, which is why it's kind of hard to see him right now. But the reality is it's not really open, and there's a sideline right there, so it's going to be even tougher to make the catch, and you're kind of throwing across your body. This is not a smart decision by Pickett. It isn't. As you see, this pass doesn't almost get intercepted. It gets intercepted, just the defensive back wasn't able to then fully control the ball before stepping out of bounds. So it was intercepted but out of bounds, so it wasn't an interception, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm using the word improperly, but whatever. It's more fun to say it that way. This was an error from Pickett, one of the reasons why I say this wasn't his best game of the season, but at the same time, like I said, he's not doing this very often. He's doing a very good job of protecting the football. People kind of always say, man, how did the Steelers get away with this? How do they keep finding ways to win? Well, if you win the turnover battle, you're probably going to win the game, even if you get outgained. And Kenny Pickett is a big part of winning the turnover battle. Everyone views it the other way. The defense creates turnovers, but if you're turning the ball over as well, it doesn't matter. So I think Pickett does deserve credit for that. The Steelers are also just doing stuff like this, which is simple stuff, but you know what? That's kind of how this works, right? Is they're trying to just get Pickett to run an offense, where this play, it's zone coverage, you have a wide receiver on the play. The only wide receiver who is set up towards the offense is right. It's a halfback. The other player, Jalen Warren, he is the guy who's going to run more underneath, but you have, hopefully the receiver is going to take the attention. You can throw underneath. As you see, Pickett takes the snap, he looks underneath, he's getting the ball out of his hands quickly. This is not a difficult throw, but you know what? On 3rd and 3, being able to scheme this stuff up is smart. And again, everyone loves to blame Canada, right? But this is working. This stuff is working. So, if you're calling good plays, well, you got to give some credit to Canada as well. I've criticized him a lot in the past, but right now, I definitely think that there's credit to be had there. And as you see, ball gets out of Pickett's hands. They're able to pick up a first down there on 3rd and 3. It's nothing fancy. This team isn't going to do a lot fancy offensively. They're not the Chiefs. They don't have Patrick Mahomes. They don't have Tyreek Hill like the Dolphins do. You got to kind of do what you can do, and that's what they're doing right now. Like even later on in the game, in a kind of a relatively big spot, they're up a point, but you wanted to get a touchdown. They didn't, but that's what you're trying to do at this point. 2nd down and 10. Again, it's basically the exact same thing, right? Zone coverage. They have 2 receivers run deeper routes to try and create a little bit of a window underneath. And as you see, Pickett's going to take the snap. He's going to flip the ball to Najee Harris on this play, who hurdles a guy, which is fun. But, again, it's that kind of logic of, hey, let's work underneath. Let's not do anything crazy. And Pickett's doing a good job of that. Throughout his career, his last year at Pitt and then both years with the Steelers, has done a great job at making reads quickly, which is very important. And there are the occasional plays like this, right? There's the occasional plays where, it's man coverage, 3rd down and 6. Oftentimes, to win a football game, you need someone to make a play, right? And if you don't get the first down here, well, now you're giving the Packers another chance. You don't want to do that. You want to at least be able to take off, even if you give them another chance, you want to make sure you get rid of their timeouts and all that good stuff, right? We'll watch as Kenny Pickett's going to take the snap and immediately doesn't love what he sees, and there's pressure coming. So, again, usually in this situation, you're in trouble. What are you going to do? Not much, right? That's usually what you're doing. However, Kenny Pickett is going to scramble out. He is going to find a way to pick up the first down on this play. And listen, they weren't able to fully milk the clock after this. They weren't. The Packers were able to, they still had some timeouts. They still had a 2-minute warning. They were able to eventually get the ball back with about a minute left and no timeouts to try and see if they could get a touchdown. And they more or less ran out of time. I mean, there was essentially a Hail Mary at the 16-yard line, which was an interception. The whole thing changes if they had an extra minute and a half and a couple timeouts, right? So because of that, I really do think that this was, in many ways, the play of the game. So if you have a quarterback who can just not make mistakes and make 1 or 2 key plays in a game, you're not going to win a lot if you have a bad team. But if you have a great defense, you're going to win some games, and you're going to be a playoff contender, and that's how they're winning games. So to everyone who asks, how do the Steelers keep doing this? Yes, Kenny Pickett is a part of it. He is. That's how I view it. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.